The Creative Northern Corridor. Right, for me, a corridor is something you travel through, whereas Liverpool, I think, is something you should travel to. And while I appreciate the linear nature of the word corridor explains the north, it's more than that. This place is magic. When you combine people, place, and purpose, it's a massive multiplier. And I find that in Liverpool every time I come. My first proper date with my wife was here, so I'm very biased. I absolutely love coming here, and I've been here twice in 1 week, which is really rare. And I wanted to talk today. I know it's down as rising tide. I'm really bad at reminding people that I've changed what I was going to talk about. So it's now called Into the Light, and I'll introduce myself as we go. Is that okay? You all happy? Yeah. I wake up in the morning and I kind of feel a coffin. It's going to be a good day, right? If I can't feel a coffin, everything's going to be good, I think. So my name's Mark Shaler, and I want to talk about innovation, and I want to talk about creativity. I'm also going to talk about pop music. They get mentioned, but lightly. And I want to talk about a little bit about pride as well, and a little bit about feeling very special about where we are and what we're doing. Because I think creativity is the most powerful tool for change, for sustainability, for community, for growth. I think whilst business has created most of the world's problems, it's the only thing that can fix them. And I think enterprise is good. I think we maybe need to redirect some of the purpose of that enterprise. But on the whole, I'm a big believer in growth and business. I also love music. I'm 56. I've got 2 granddaughters and 4 kids. And I've loved music since I turned Top of the Pops on. It would have been about 1971. I was 3, and I saw Mark Bolan. And I didn't understand what I was looking at, but I knew I loved it. We then enter the glitter era, which we don't talk about at all, but that glam era I found really powerful. But I'm going to start today with a little bit of a sing-song. I'm looking for someone to join in with me, someone with a big set of lungs. I'm looking down at the front row here. You like, no, not there. No, maybe, no, not there. Because you're so young. You're Gen Z. I'm going to have to do a bit of heavy lifting for you today, I suspect. So we'll start with Hello. It's a cheesy pun, but I really like it. And I love Lionel Richie. I can't help it, right? And my granddaughter, intentionally blanked this one, my granddaughter, Junie, she's 5, nearly 6, and she says to me when she sees that slide, she says, "Pops, your cultural references, they're really old. You got to bring them up to date, right? You got to bring them right up to date." And she is predominantly a Swiftie, but of course she means Adele, doesn't she? That's who she means. And Adele is amazing. I'm not going to play Adele, but Adele is amazing because she's utterly authentic. You know exactly what she's thinking. You know exactly what she's feeling. And I love that. I think empathy is really important. But I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go to this man for my second and final hello. Who's this? You've got no idea. Don't worry. I'll help you out in a minute. What you lot know. You know, who is this? Jim Morrison, yeah. The originator of the 27 Club. He's lead singer of a band called The Doors, or he was lead singer of the band called The Doors. Anyone like a little bit of kind of like garage psych, late 60s? Yeah? Yeah? Excellent. Right, well, Jim Morrison's amazing, right? Beautiful man. I mean, I'm straight, but hello. And what I like about Jim Morrison was when he got the gig with The Doors, he was like, "Come on in, you're our new singer." So he came on, he sings well, he looks amazing. He grabbed the microphone, he looked at the audience, and he did this. "You know that it would be untrue." He sang with his back to the audience. Why? With that talent and those looks, why? And I kind of sometimes think, and I've lived in Bradford, Saltaire, I've lived in Leeds, I'm a huge fan of Liverpool and Manchester. I've spent a lot of time clubbing in both of those places. I sometimes think the North sings with its back to the audience. And I want you to move into the light. I think it really matters. So he's going in, number one, because, oh, I've lost my clicker. Number one, because he's like really cool, cooler than Lionel. And number two, because there's a message in this.
Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your
name? Feel free to join in, by the way, at any point. So this is me. I was really disruptive as a kid. I've got ADHD, which is a gift. I was called when I was 6. I was told I was not the creative one because I was really bad at drawing. I was drawing a picture of the Lone Ranger. I was competing, had a competition with a guy called Jason Wilborn, whose dad was a draftsman at Rolls-Royce. And he said to me, "You're a shit drawer." And I said, I'm not. I was. But I was really competitive. I said, "I'm not a shit drawer. I could beat you." And he said, "Okay, then we'll have a competition tonight. You draw something, come bring it in tomorrow. Stuart Jordan and Paul Baum," I never change any names. "Stuart Jordan and Paul Baum will decide the winner. And you'll get a packet of Monster Munch for the winner." Thinking, yeah, I'm in here. They'd only just come out. They're only in beef. And I thought, yep, I'll have a go at that. So I went home and I forgot. And I completely forgot I was doing it. Then I remembered after I'd had my tea. And so I'm drawing a picture of the Lone Ranger, which is what we were supposed to be drawing, thinking, oh my God, this is hard. So I basically did a stick man with a hat. And my dad, who's a photographer, he came home from work, and he did that classic thing. And there's a lesson here for parents and for people who have got charges at work, you know, people who employ people. He looked over my shoulder, and he said, "What's that supposed to be?" Which is a very closing question, isn't it? And if you change it round and say, "Tell me about your drawing," that's a really opening question, isn't it? So I was already feeling on the back foot, and I said, "Well, Dad, it's the Lone Ranger. I've got a drawing competition with Jason Wilborn." And he said, "Oh, you won't win that. His dad's a draftsman at Rolls-Royce." I said, "Yeah, I know. He's reminded me numerous times." He said, "You're not the creative one, Mark." Now that's loaded twice. I'm not creative. Somebody else is. My brother. He's a very good drawer, I'll give him that. And my dad didn't mean any harm. He said, you know, you're the sciencey, rugby, sporty one. That's the way it's going to work out. Talk about prejudice, prejudgment. And he was right, because guess how long it was before I drew again? 20 years. I didn't draw until I was 26, till my daughter was born and was like 2 at the time, and I started drawing again. And guess how I drew? Like a 6-year-old. But I am creative, because creativity isn't drawing. What is it? This is an interactive, I'll flag them up. This is an interactive part of the day. What is creativity? Ideas, I like you, getting your feet, I wouldn't want to sit behind you with that hat on, but I like you, getting your feelings down, that's why there's no one there, any way that you want. Look, I think creativity is simply imagining a world that hasn't arrived yet. And we can all do that. Whether you can make a film, write a song, or draw a picture, it doesn't matter. So that was me. That kind of set the tone. I wasn't the creative one. I got through I played rugby at a really high level, got through to Leicester Tigers, but didn't make it. I failed my exams. I was nearly 20 and was still in sixth form. I had to retake everything. Went to Bradford University. I liked the university, but I didn't like I was just so uncool. Everyone was listening to Katrina and the Waves, and I was listening to Lloyd Cole and the Commotions and the Smiths, and I found it really irritating. And that's elitism, and I'm working on it, okay? But I really struggled. I was then, in the second year, I went to work in Tesco's during the half-term, during the summer holidays. I was DJing in a nightclub in Bradford, and I'd ran up a bit of an overdraft. And I was nearly sacked for taking Tesco's out on strike over apartheid. I was anti-apartheid, by the way. I wasn't pro, make that really clear. I then got stuck in this job after university as a researcher. I then tried to derail my breakthrough job by telling them it was likely I'd get arrested for environmental protests. I wouldn't. And then we were nearly evicted because the landlord wasn't paying his mortgage properly. And then we had kids really early, kids at 23. And then I had a really amazing idea for a £200 million business, and I gave it away. I got bullied at work twice. This is horrible. This is horrible. To not want to get up in the morning as a father who we should be strong, or as a parent who should be strong, and not want to go into work, horrific. And I was bullied by one was a man and one was a woman, and it was just absolutely brutal. I was going to emigrate, literally as a result of one of those, and I didn't. I was born in Australia, so it's easy for us, but we didn't. I left a business partner, and then I got left by 2 business partners on the same day. It was a Thursday. It was a tough day, Thursday. And then obviously we struggled in COVID, lost 98% of my business, and now I'm back, I'm here, I'm happy, I'm in Liverpool, it's beautiful. That's one way of looking at me. Thank you. But there's another way of looking at me, and I get to choose which of the wolves to feed. The ones that want to eat me, or the ones that want to support me. And when I look at it another way, I was a wildly free kid. My ADHD was undiagnosed, but massively visible. No one was surprised I was ADHD, apart from my mum. And I'm thinking, how? How does that? I learned this really important lesson about power and responsibility. I learned about leadership. When I failed at university, failed my exams, I had to plot a better experience. When I took Tesco's out on strike, I stood for something bigger than me. When I was stuck in a dead-end researcher job, I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn to teach. That's what I'm going to do, so I did. I did try and derail my breakthrough job. That is definitely the truth. Nearly being evicted and having kids early did kickstart my life. And I did give away a £200 million idea to my dad. So when he stopped buying gin and yachts, no, he doesn't own a yacht, but when he stopped buying gin, there will be a bit left to share between me and the creative one. Do you think it stings still? Fuck yeah, of course it does. And I survived 2 experiences that shaped me. When we didn't emigrate, which I was really looking forward to doing, because I fancied this kind of like Antipodean life, I realised it's not where you live, it's how you live. I might be in Ashby de la Zouch, but I can live like I'm in Melbourne. And that was a massive shift for me, just changing the way I thought about things. I learned how not to leave business partners. And then I realized in those difficult times, and trust me, they were really difficult, grow really beautiful lotus flowers. From the murkiest water grows the most beautiful thing. And I did lose 98% of my business in COVID, but lots of us did, didn't we? And you come back refocused and hungry, and you come back on fire. And that's an energy. Rushing in, rushing out of me. And it matters. It truly matters. So, it's how I look at these things. I know abject poverty is abject. I know I'm not trying to make these things seem nothing. They are everything. But I can reframe how I look at them. Career-wise, I'm not going to read it out. Predominantly sustainability, a little bit of innovation, a little bit of change, speaker events, that kind of thing. I love what I do. I don't want to retire. I've worked it out. There's a formula I've worked out. What happens is this. You work really hard till you're 60, well, I'll be 7 now, 67, then you retire. Then you get ill and die. That's pretty much the thing. So what I'm going to do is cut it here. I am not going to retire, and therefore death will not follow. That's the plan, right? But I've built this on observing my parents and my parents-in-law. They all retired early, apart from my stepdad, sorry, my father-in-law, who is still working at 80 and the healthiest of them all. He's the only man in the country that can repair 1970s Italian sewing and knitting machines. They love him. They'll send a taxi down from Glasgow to pick him up. He's a rare asset, right? So you just don't stop. That's my general thing. A few books, clients you'd expect me to work for, maybe a few you wouldn't expect me to work for. And I want to talk about moving into the light today. And I want to talk about how we grow. When you've got a plant, remember your plant you had at university? Mine was like 90% ash, that soil, by the end of my 3 years at university. And you want it to bloom. What do you do? Well, 3 things. You give it more space. Not quite fitting on the screen, is it? You water it, and you move it into the light. And all of those things matter. And in business, or community businesses, because they're still businesses, how do we do that? Well, we use creativity. And I'm obsessed by pop music, and so I wanted to hunt for lessons in creativity from pop music. And I found loads. And I'm going to take you through, I think, about 7 of them today. Number one, constraint can massively increase innovation. Freedom's important too. But I work with businesses, I build startups inside, oh, you can't really see that. That's Stormzy on the front of his first album, Gang Signs and Prayers. You've all got that album, yeah? What do you mean? You all listened to that album, don't you? Please, it's perfect, right? So this was really interesting. He had no money. He had lots of time. And he'd got this skill that he'd honed south and east of London. So he took this low-fi approach. And those constraints, they forced him to come up with new ways of thinking. And I've got a little side project called Rebel Cell where we do the same thing. We build startups inside big businesses. We give them no money and we give them no time. We give them focus, speed, and we give them a permission and a constraint. Oh, and then the difference it makes when you think you're not going to be sacked for getting it wrong, magic. Do you want to hear a little bit of Stormzy from this album? Of course you do.
You're getting way too big for your boots. You're never too big for them.
I'm a 56-year-old white man. Fucking love it. It's because it's scary. Like, I've got goosebumps now. How many times? I've heard that hundreds of times. There's an edge. Innovation and change happens when there's an edge. Liverpool is nearly all edge. I mean that. It's really, really important to embrace that. And I think maybe all first albums are better than the rest of the albums because they're done when you're hungry, when you've got a tight budget and a massive idea. And I think constraint is a freedom. And I'm going to give you another example. Who's this? You've got absolutely no idea this is Black Sabbath, okay? So Black Sabbath, Birmingham-based heavy rock band, late 60s, early 70s. The rest of you are with me on this, yeah? Sure? I think you are, sir, aren't you? Yeah. Yes, you. Me, the one that looks like a heavy metal. Yes, you. Okay, amazing band, truly amazing band. And their main guitarist, a guy called Tony Iommi, when he was working in a metal factory, and he gave up his job to go and join Black Sabbath full-time. Now, the day before he was due to leave and become a full-time guitarist, he lost the tips of his ring and middle finger in an industrial accident, the one that he used on the fretboard. That's it. Like, as a guitarist, that's it. That's his dream. So he was depressed, and he thought, no, I'm going to do something about this. So he was doing the washing up, and he saw the Fairy Liquid bottle, and he cut some plastic off, and he melted it, and he made himself little finger caps to put on his fingers so that he could play. Then he realized that his little finger, which is the lazier of the fingers, if you're going to have lazy fingers, it's going to be that one, isn't it? He made that one do more work. And then most importantly, he tuned his guitar 3 semi-octaves lower. And that's why heavy metal sounds like it does. He created the heavy metal sound because he was injured. Now, he could have given up, couldn't he? And gone back to the factory. But he didn't. He persevered, and they're amazing. You all know who they are, yeah? Yeah? Possibly the best heavy metal song ever written. And I like Faye Indy from the mid-1980s, mainly from Manchester, mainly. And I love that song. Number 2, creative partnerships. When chemistry is right, magic happens. Creative partnerships, they really work, even if they're not amicable, even if the people don't get on. And this is going to be hard work, isn't it, today? This is a band called The Smiths. It's the lead guitarist and the lead singer of a band called The Smiths. Back in the 80s, we thought this was going to be the future, and we thought this guy in the pinky red shirt was all right. Right? They're not the future, and he's not all right, okay? He's a fascist. Said it, he is. Or he's fascistic, there you go. But they were amazing, right? And they didn't get on, and I can understand why. This one's Johnny Marr, he's a genius. And when they wrote, he'd write the lyrics and sing them, and he'd write the melody and play lead guitar. And the way it would work is Marr would write the music and send it to Morrissey on a cassette. And that's why you got kind of really lovely, lilting songs like this one. Beautiful, right? So Morrissey gets hold of it, and he adds this lyric.
Girlfriend in a coma, I know, it's serious.
Don't let his fey voice put you off. Girlfriend in a coma. I know. Could be serious. It probably is, right? He's in a coma. So that dissonance made that utterly magic. So even if you don't like your business partners or collaborators, find the things that make the relationship special, even if those things are the things that pull you apart. And you've got to learn from the past, but you've got to give it a future. Oh, God, here we go again. This is a band called the Rolling Stones, okay? They're a kind of like beat combo band that followed in the hot on the heels of the Beatles, but they were from London. They're a little bit more, I guess you'd call it, dangerous. I guess you would call it that. Although, to be honest with you, I think John Lennon had his moments. And they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And they were blues fans. And their first album was just a covers album. And they saw the Beatles booming and earning lots of money, and they thought, hang on a minute, we need to write our own songs. So they did write blues, but they made it sound like now. That's the first song they ever wrote themselves. It sounds like it could be written in 1941. It wasn't. It was written in 1962. But it's not just guitar bands. The late, great Amy Winehouse her first album, I think, is her best album, but I know she didn't like it. But she listened to blues, and she listens to soul, and she listens to jazz. But she gave it her own twist. She wrote her own music and her own songs. She's a genius. And this one sounds like it could have been written in the 30s until you listen to the lyrics.
I couldn't resist him. His eyes were like yours. His hair was exactly the shade of brown. He's just not as tall, but I couldn't tell. It was dark and I was lying down.
And she took that kind of like modern angst of relationships, which was always there in blues. It's always there. Nina Simone is ridden all the way through. But she gave it a future. So it's okay to look behind you. Like, you stand on the shoulders of giants in this city, not just pop music. But yesterday shouldn't take up any of today. You should accept where you're from, be thankful of the lift, and then move on. There's a beautiful German word called Einstellung, and it means not letting the successes of the past determine what you do tomorrow. And it's really important. Not just, beauty is an amazing constraint, but sometimes you don't want to sit in there. And then, stand up, be counted, stand for something, otherwise you'll fall for anything. Have an opinion as a business, as a brand. I'm going to use two examples now. I think some people may not like either of them, but they had an opinion. They're both artificial bands. They were both created by moguls. They were both given an artificial purpose, but there was no doubt that your mum and your nan and your dad and your granddad knew what that purpose was. And that's quite unusual in pop music. The first one is a band called the Sex Pistols. You're all right if you're okay with the Sex Pistols, you know who they are, yeah? Okay, they weren't the first punk band in Britain, let alone the world, but they were the most notorious. First one's the Sex Pistols, put together by Malcolm McLaren, Vivienne Westwood, created a look. It was as much about fashion as it was about anything else, and they were about destruction and nihilism. When you look back, it's quite hard to see some of this stuff. Like, they used a swastika a lot, and it makes you feel really uncomfortable now. But you could everyone knew what they stood for. They had a purpose. It was anti-authoritarianism, it was aggression, it was about destruction. You might not like the music. I actually do quite like them musically, but I don't buy their records. I bought the artwork, mind. That should be playing now. Released in Jubilee year, just to irritate everyone. Everyone knew what they were for. My nan hated them. It was a secret Top of the Pops watch, that was. But you know, with black and white TVs used to have an aux out. So I put my earphones in to the aux out and listened to the Sex Pistols, so I couldn't get too told off. And then the second one, more important, culturally, way more important, Spice Girls. This was so important. My daughter was, I think 2 or 3 at the time, and she wanted, I'd say, what do you want to be? Everyone would ask her what you wanted to be. Have you got a boyfriend yet? Stupid questions for 3-year-olds. And so she'd always say, I want to be a beautician. Nothing wrong with beautician, absolutely fine. And I said, well, you can be anything. She said, no, I'm a girl, I want to be a beautician. I said, okay, but you can be anything. And she didn't think she could. A beautician and a mum. And then she knew she could be absolutely anything she wanted to be. Again, it's a band that's put together by a mogul, by Simon, whatever his face is. But they were brilliant. I mean, I love them. But Daisy knew that she could be posh, she could be scary, she could be baby, ginger, or she could be, obviously the best one, sporty, obviously. And I absolutely love them, even though they never get on my Spotify most played list, ever. Doesn't matter. I think they're incredible. Zigga Zig Ah. Obviously, we all want to Zigga Zig Ah. I don't even know what it is, and I want to do it. I don't know where they're going, but I'm going with them. They sound amazing. So you need an opinion. But you also have to have connection. And as somebody with ADHD, I've got quite a strong emotive element to me. I can feel things. And so music moves me. And this next singer, you might not know him. A singer called Sampha. You might know him, actually. We're nudging your... I'm going to send you a playlist, right? Although you look like you've got a little bit of indie rock in you as well. Yeah, okay. So maybe I have to work a bit harder on that. So Sampha, utterly brilliant. I've been listening to him for about 2 years, and then this song broke, and it broke everything. It's such an emotional song. It's called No One Knows Me Like the Piano in My Mother's Room. Not snappy, right? That's not God Save the Queen, is it? That's quite a long song title, but it's a beautiful song.
Like the piano in my mother's home.
And he released it after she died, and the album's beautiful. That song, honestly, I've got goosebumps again. But of course, when it comes to motivating, emotivating, and changing the face of music, there is only one relevant case study. And I don't care whether you like her or not. She is an amazing singer, an incredible business person, and she has completely changed the way music works. Sadly, she wasn't able to change the way politics in America worked. I genuinely thought she might swing it, but she didn't. So Taylor Swift is a phenomenon, is a force. I went for a good friend of mine is the drummer in Kasabian, Ian Matthews, and I went for some sushi with him. This is such turned into like a bougie middle-class chat, hasn't it? Me and the drummer from Kasabian were having sushi in Leicester. And we were talking about how you make money as a band. Now, Kasabian are a big band, aren't they? They're a big band, right? And I said, how's the tour going? And he said, we'll break even on every one apart from Leicester because it's a 40,000 in the park one. I said, you'll break even? You're not going to make massive profits? He said, no. He said, it's really hard to make a profit now. The only person making a profit in music is Taylor Swift. Because she's vertically aligned everything. She rents the stadium. She buys up all the hotels. She, the merchandise all have to pay her some money. She changes a city. She gives loads of money away as well. I'm not knocking her. I think she's brilliant. I don't ever want to listen to any more. I've got 3 daughters in their 20s. They love her. She says words that people need to hear. And she makes the specific universal, that James Joyce quote. And it really matters. This song didn't just speak about her relationships and her relationship with the press. This song spoke about what it was like to be a woman, full stop.
I stay out too late, got nothing in my brain. That's what people say.
I stay out too late, got nothing in my brain. That's sad and wrong. And I will back her. When you put emotion into what you do, when you build feeling in, everything changes. And I'm going to show you this. Do you know what this advert's from? Do you know what this advert's for? It's a poster advert from 1979. No? I had one hand wave at the back, but I think that might have been a handshake. So this is for Nike. And it's a poster called The Battle of Atlanta. And in terms of Nike product, there's a pair there. There's a pair there, and I think that's it. They're K-Swiss. I think they're New Balance, and I think there might be something recognizable on the Adidas front there. It doesn't say Nike. What is this selling? This is selling the feeling of having run a marathon. This is selling achievement. And if you want to achieve, by extension, by Nike. It's brilliant. It's Wyden Kennedy did this campaign for them. And it's when you began to put emotion, then things change massively. But brands need direction, and brands need direction. This is a little bit of video. I'm sorry, it's the Beatles, don't care, I love them, I love it, and it's time to reclaim them.
Since Mr. Epstein passed away, it's never been the same.
I mean, we've been very negative since Mr. Epstein passed away. And that's why all of us in turn has been sick of the group. It's discipline we lack. We've never had discipline. We've had sort of slight symbolic discipline, like Mr. Epstein. You know, and he sort of said, get suits on, and we did. You know, and so we were sort of always fighting that discipline a bit. There really is no one there now to say, do it. Whereas there always used to be. But Daddy's gone away now, you know. And we're on our own at the holiday camp. And, you know, I think we either go home or we do it.
And luckily they did it, right? This album is brilliant. Have you seen this film? The Disney Plus, yeah, Peter Jackson, yeah, really, really good. And I'm going to talk about them again straight away because this isn't just about the way bands meld together. This is about the way that bands create a brand. And if I say Beatles, what do you think of? Yeah, the HMV, the last gig, yeah. What do you know what I think of? Haircuts, suits, boots. Maybe I'm shallow, but that's what I think of. And I think of the cover of Rubber Soul, the best, in my opinion, their best album. They had a brand, and that brand was undeniable. The Rolling Stones didn't have a brand. They just did covers, like I said, and they were nearly bust. And they had an emergency meeting. They were ripped off by their manager, and they sat all together. And Mick said, "I'm gonna manage us. We're going to write our own songs because that's where the money sits. So that's where Jagger Richards began. we need a logo. So he went away and he took the tongue and lips of an Indian deity, and they made that. It's not Mick Jagger's tongue and lips, it's an Indian goddess. They made that their logo. And they created an image for themselves that you had to buy into. Music teaches us so much about brand and purpose. You've only got to say your favourite brand and you know what you're thinking of. You know the caricature of the Smiths. You know the caricature of Run the Jewels. You know those things. They matter. So understanding your brand and your band, super important. And then you've got to avoid polarization. God, that's a hard sentence to say now. Look at America. No, don't give them any attention. They'll implode. But we're in a situation where the world is more polarized than ever. And this is best explained in an advert for Australian lamb. Honestly, suspend all disbelief.
What do you reckon?
Don't know. And share.
Oh my God! That's the funniest thing I've seen all week. No notes.
Who would do that to a dog?
That looks like a dog I drew in grade 2.
Gina Smith, this is literally you.
It's literally me.
Everyone calm down. It's fake.
Wow, this comment section is getting toxic.
Do you think this is happening everywhere?
Madness! We're killing the environment.
We're saving the environment.
They only work when there's enough wind.
I made $5,000 in a week working from home with this one simple trick.
I love renewable.
CO2 is perhaps the near lowest in Earth's history.
You're right. Next thing you'll tell me the Earth is flat.
See? Flat as.
This proves nothing. That could be AI.
No, that's AI.
It's achievable naturally. I have a body similar to that.
Looking good, Cosy.
I made $5,000 in a week.
That's the way you make a perfect couple.
Milk before tea? This is a crime.
Same as with cereals. Milk first.
You are a psycho.
Guys, it's not real.
Oh, we're fighting over tea now.
Could be worse.
How?
She's my hero.
She broke dancing.
I don't get it.
If cringe could kill you, this would be a lethal dose.
Ooh, another keyboard warrior.
Gina Smith, literally not you.
So not me.
It's fake.
Why is everyone hating?
It's fake.
She sucks.
You suck.
Booked and reported.
Booked and reported.
Booked and reported.
World tour, please.
It's fake. Everyone relax. It's not real.
Democracy.
Dumbest sport ever. What's next? Dog grooming.
Hey, screw you.
Whoa.
Sorry, I just got caught up in whatever this is.
There's got to be something that unites us. Oh, yeah.
Comments and into the cutlets.
I am such a ditzy Debbie. I bet a big old gritty gun.
Now this is real.
Gina Smith, it's literally you.
Oh my God, it's me, Gina Smith. Ah!
Wait, why is everyone being so nice?
I think everyone's a lot nicer in real life than we are online.
I guess the anonymousness of the internet promotes disagreements, and the platforms that we
Yeah, we get it.
Just ate some lamb.
I hope people post nice comments about this ad.
Now, eating the dead animal isn't going to bring us together, but something needs to. And when you're running your business campaigns, you will get detractors. You need to remember that you are not for everybody, just the sexy people. That's your market, the sexy people, right? And trying to navigate a way through that is super important, because if we're not careful, we'll garner friendly fire. We all want the same thing. We can all imagine that creativity. We all imagine a better world. We all want to get there, and yet we'll find something to fall out with along the way. And the problem with that is friendly fire could I'm sorry for this. I'm going to have to do it. Friendly Fire could leave us to falling apart again. And love, it's just a perfect song, though, isn't it? Love could tear us apart. Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, Bradford, Europe, the UK. Sad. Got to see the bigger picture. You've got to think nationally, not regionally, Liverpool. I mean it. You're way more important than regional. You're national. You know this one. Look, just to go back to my start, it's time for you to step into the spotlight, to hold the microphone, to look at the audience, to stop looking at the past, to stop looking at your competitors. Look that way, grow something amazing. Your job, I don't know what you do, design, marketing, maybe you do accounts. Your job, not to move pencil and pixel. It never was. Your job as a business, as a region, as a person, as a boss, as a mum, as a dad, as a sister, as a brother, or whatever you want. Your job is to move hearts and minds. And that's what business is for. Thank you.